I need some help here. I have my fiance's ring all picked out, and I am getting a lot of negativity from the rest of the women in my life because of the cost. I am being told to just get the $100 wedding band and call it a day. But the thing is, my engagement ring and the band were exponentially more than that, and I feel like his should be closer in value to mine. At the end of the day, I am going to give him what I want him to have, but I would like to know what is normal. Story 1. To all the magnificent gentlemen and lovely ladies who took the time to give me their help this morning, a few things. Since we live together, I suggested over coffee that we ring shop together, and he is so excited. He said he didn't think it would be such a big deal to me, but he feels very appreciated, and I would just like to thank everyone here. I think that I personally made this a much more stressful thing than it needed to be, and as long as he's happy, I could really care less what he puts on his hands. Thank you to everyone for all the photos and suggestions, a few websites, and even for being candid in what your rings really mean to you. You all rock. Story 2. I don't think there is normal. Mine cost less than $100. But I loved it, so that is all that matters. One of my close friends has a wedding band that cost more than his wife's engagement ring and wedding ring combined. And hers were not cheap. Don't let the bitterness of others hold you back. Story 3. Gold with some grooves around the edges gives it just enough personality to be different than most without being too much. I wear a rubber one a lot too, but I wanted something special and that will last forever. I tried on a bunch of different styles, and that's what felt right. Story 4. Don't ball out on a ring. It's really not that important. Take that extra cash that you were planning to spend and go make a memory somewhere instead. Story 5. You want something that can last for 70 years, or 10 in my case, of daily manly use. So nothing fancy. Mine was a simple gold band. Now, mine is a flattened gold strip at the bottom of Lake Superior. Story 6. My wedding ring was $300. It was handmade and has a continuous Celtic knot. Involve him in the choosing at least a little bit, if not completely. Anything other than the normal wedding band does get some extra attention, and he has to decide if that's okay. Personally, I enjoy the conversation starter there. Story 7. Where is your partner's opinion? The one person that matters most, and his thoughts seem to be absent. How did he go about getting your ring? How would you have wanted your ring picked out? These are the questions I would be asking. Story 8. Eternal brushed center tungsten ring. It's kind of chunky, and he will only wear it for special occasions. It's on a silver chain around his neck when he's at work because no jewelry can be worn on the hands. The chain is long enough not to swing outside his clothes. We selected it together. It cost around $120, and it's literally the first piece of jewelry he's ever worn. It all depends on the guy as to whether you'll get the value out of a more expensive ring. Story 9. Does he wear a lot of flashy rings on a daily basis? Does he wear rings at all? Ask him what he wants. He is the one who will be wearing it, after all. At the end of the day, I am going to give him what I want him to have, even if that means forcing him to wear something he is uncomfortable wearing. Story 10. White gold. The engraving is similar to my wife's rings. Cost about $800. Edit. It was custom made by a jeweler based on other designs we combined. Story 11. A silicone ring from some company on Amazon. I think it's called Thunder Grip. 12-pack for like $7. If I lose it again, I have more. Plus, they are safer for manual labor. Story 12. This could be unpopular based on the top comment, but what my wife and I did was we went to nice jewelry stores like Tiffany's to try on different styles and see what I liked. Then my wife had the person who made her wedding and engagement ring make me one in a similar style, but for much less. I think it was around $300 to $500. It was nice for me to be able to go and try the different rings, and also considering it's the only piece of jewelry I wear 24/7 for the rest of my life, it's nice to have something that I really like. Story 13. We made our wedding rings in a jewelry course. Best decision ever. Something to remember, and it was €600 for the course and both rings. Took us only one evening. The rings are 545 gold, if I remember correctly. Story 14. I read no other comments, but I picked out a ring I really liked for my husband. At the time, I was finishing my last year of college, and he had been working for a few years, so we were in very different financial positions. He had never cared about stuff like that, but he actually got upset when I told him about it. I loved the ring. I spent time choosing it, but he actually cared about the price tag. So maybe ask your significant other if this may bother him. I definitely never meant to offend mine, but I did, and I felt bad about that. Good luck. Story 15. My husband's is similar to this, except that I swear I paid close to $2,000 for it in 2019. He really likes it. Story 16. Looks like you got your answer, but I still wanted to show off my bling. My wife got me this black and blue tungsten carbide band. I think she got it on Etsy. It definitely didn't cost as much as her setup, but I love it just as much. Story 17. I've never understood why people pick jewelry for others, even a significant other, without their approval. I would like to have a say in what I have to wear on my finger for the rest of my life. I say ask him for his input. Story 18. It depends on what he wants, but there's no point in spending money just for the sake of matching what he spent on your engagement ring. I wanted to buy my husband an engagement gift in response to my engagement ring, but it wouldn't have made sense for me to spend that money on an overly fancy ring when the one he wanted was a simple platinum band. So instead, I bought him a really nice watch that he had been eyeing for years and gifted it to him on the morning of our wedding. Story 19. I had mine custom made. The center band is my grandfather's, and it is surrounded by 2 platinum bands. All in all, it was about $3,000. I'll see if I can find the computer-aided design renderings and edit my post. Rendering of mine. Story 20. My husband and I have matching rings that cost £40 each. They're silver, so they'll tarnish and age along with us. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on your ring, you don't have to. Use the money to make memories together instead. Story 21. I have a $40 Groove Life silicone ring. It is stylish as well as safe, especially if he works in a field where his hands could get injured. I have tried the metal rings, and they are so uncomfortable to me. I have yet to take this one off. The point is not the value, it is the symbolism behind it. Story 22. So I have a silver band, but I rarely wear it. I work in a factory and I am also a professional wrestler, so it is unsafe in both my jobs. What I wear are the rubber bands from Groove Life, and I love them. It does not feel like I am wearing anything. Story 23. There is no wrong choice. To be frank, the groom's wedding band usually doesn't cost nearly what the bride's rings do. My wedding band is white gold, weathered or rough on both sides with a buffed and polished stripe down the middle. It was around $2,000. Some people choose inexpensive rings, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Story 24. I have a white gold band that I fell in love with the minute I saw it. It cost around 1,200 Australian dollars. Originally, I thought it was too expensive, but my wife said the exact same thing about the fact she gets an expensive engagement ring and a wedding ring, so I went for it. Story 25. This one. What is the price point you want to spend? Story 26. I got married with a polished tungsten carbide ring. If I remember correctly, it was less than $100. Honestly, it's gorgeous. These days, I wear a silicone rubber wedding band at work because I am paranoid about getting a ring avulsion. Story 27. Titanium band with 2 grooves around it for some style. Costs less than $100, and I'm perfectly happy with it. My wife and I went to the store together to pick it out. Story 28. Anything on any of my fingers causes them to break out underneath in angry, painful little hives. My skin is ultra-sensitive to everything under and especially the sun. I get borderline burns. I'm terrified of tattooing. Having offered up all that, for certain occasions, my wife will put a henna design around my finger. It is the lesser of all available evils. Story 29. Custom-made Arbutus Branch and Teal Montana Sapphire. Story 30. I'm not a flashy guy by any stretch of the definition, but my wife found me this. What was nice was we went ring shopping together for me and ended up paying half of what her ring cost for mine. However, our marriage is about challenging conventions. No wedding ring for her, just the engagement ring, no family obligations, no last name changes, no kids, and being competitive in income. But for your husband-to-be, there's the design of the ring but also the material. Wedding rings don't have to be gold, and having a wedding ring made out of the strongest metal in the world, tungsten, can be fun too. Find out what's important to him and go from there. Side note, family will want to butt in on everything. The true test of character is remembering who is marrying whom. Story 31. I originally had an approximately $250 gold ring, but with some weight fluctuations and it becoming loose, I bought a new one for $15.99 on Amazon. Stainless steel. I've been wearing it for about 12 years now. Not a single question from anyone. For good reason, no one makes a fuss about men's rings, including the men wearing them. Story 32. Hey, if it makes you feel better, then get him a fancy one. However, not to be callous, I am fairly certain that most men won't care whether you spend $50 or $5,000. Engagement rings typically hold more significance in our society and are therefore expected to be more expensive. I'm more than happy with my $75 band we got on sale at Zales. I understand the desire to get him something expensive, though. My wife said she was okay with a simple engagement ring at around a certain amount, but I ended up spending about 4 times that amount because it made me feel better and I knew she'd appreciate it. However, I think men and women are wired a little differently in this regard. She loved it and treasures it, but if she spent that much on me, I might consider it a waste, especially since I really like the $30 silicone bands. Story 33. Simple 18-karat gold band. Slight taper at the edges, with the wedding date marked inside and our initials. My wife is not very big on rings, so we got what made sense for both of us. People talked our ears off. We just ignored them and chose what felt good for both of us. We were the ones getting married, not anyone else, so our opinion was the golden one. Value difference really makes no sense to me. Wedding bands and engagement rings are separate entities. If you feel they should get something of equal value, ask what that thing is. If they do not like rings that much, it might be another accessory. A watch with a nice inscription on the inside, or another personalized item that makes more sense to your significant other. Story 34. My husband's ring is black tungsten with a rose gold inlay to match my rose gold ring. The inscription on the inside is my name, love, his name, date of wedding. It was less than $100. I think the biggest thing is to just get the ring you want for them. Men's rings aren't as expensive as women's, so you might find the exact ring you like in the best quality, and it still costs less than the one you bought. Story 35. Get him something he likes. I never understood spending a lot on rings or trying to guess what they would like. My wife and I picked out our own rings. We could afford rings that cost thousands of dollars, but hers ended up costing around $350, and mine cost around $450. Mine is gold tungsten with a band of amethyst and meteorite in the middle. Story 36. I had a white gold band, approximately $400, which I lost within 6 months of the wedding in the Baltic Sea. I had a stainless steel band, $10 at the fair, which I had for a couple of years and lost while snow shoveling. I don't think I will be getting another one. Get a cheap one. It is not that important the value of the symbol, but the symbol itself. Story 37. Simple gold band. Nothing flashy. Elegant and sophisticated. Anything more flashy and I would feel gaudy wearing it. Anything less looks cheap or won't last. Story 38. Mine is a $10 titanium band from Amazon, but don't worry too much. Do what's right for you guys. It's worth noting that we didn't go all out on her wedding band, which is a silver band with some tiny sapphires set in it, costing about $60, or her engagement ring, which is a platinum band with a center sapphire and 2 small diamonds, costing around $2,000. Neither of us are big jewelry people, so the rings weren't terribly important for us. Story 39. Plain silver ring. Think it cost £50? I wasn't fussed about having one. We made our rings, though, at a local jeweler, which is a nice memory, and it's engraved with our wedding date so I can never forget. Story 40. I think it's normal for men's rings to be less expensive than women's rings. My wife's engagement ring was $13,000, but my wedding band was around $2,000. I got a platinum ring with some engraved designs on the outside. I like the heft of platinum, and I preferred a silver color to something like a gold band. Ultimately, I don't think there's a normal ring. It's whatever suits his tastes. I wouldn't worry about the cost either. I don't care that my wife's ring is exponentially more expensive than mine, just that I got to marry her. Story 41. We bought a $300 metal ring that I thought looked cool. I never wore rings and absolutely hated how heavy it was and how it created separation between my fingers. I quickly switched to a $5 silicone ring and absolutely love it. I discuss it with your fiancé. If you want a nicer looking ring for pictures, you could always get a cheaper, cool looking one online and save money. Story 42. When you go and purchase your fiancé's ring, simply ask for a band, not a wedding band. The jeweler will show you basically the same rings at a cheaper price. Anytime wedding is mentioned, they will show you the more expensive items. Story 43. Mine is 2 gold bands with a blue strip of titanium riveted together and 1 diamond. It wasn't cheap, but it was exactly what I wanted. We went shopping together and picked both our rings out. Story 44. I spent around 200 Canadian dollars on a nice tungsten ring. The appeal was that it would not scratch at all, and that was a nice benefit for my work. It's a bit heavier for a ring, but I'm used to it now. Story 45. My original wedding ring is titanium, from Amazon, about $10. I love it. Go for the comfort shape, it's more comfortable. That said, I lose stuff, so that ring is in a box in my closet. I buy 20 packs of nearly identical rings on AliExpress for about 50 cents per ring and wear those instead. Story 46. My ring cost $40 and I love it. It is brushed tungsten with beveled edges. They use tungsten to make railgun projectiles, so that is cool. It is indestructible and requires zero maintenance. It looks exactly like the day we bought it. It is shiny,